Utah Puck Report. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, and I got to get back to my roots, man. I got to talk about the Grizzlies, and they have a 3-game homestand starting tonight. I think. Well, let's see. They play tonight, tomorrow, and Monday. Head
Monday,
coach
yeah, Monday afternoon.
Monday afternoon. So Ryan Kinasewich, head coach, vice GM, vice like you wear a million hats for the Utah Grizzlies, and thanks for being on the show.
Yeah,
And this is just going to be a quick pregame preview of what you've got going on this weekend. Season started off pretty decent. You had some injuries, you had some pull-ups. The Avalanche had injuries, the Colorado Eagles had injuries, which ultimately means your lineup gets totally messed up.
yeah,
And here we are. Like Utah Grizzlies, 16 wins, 24 losses, 4 overtime wins, 4
yeah,
overtime losses.
yeah.
So you're picking up points. You're
Yeah, we're
battling,
scratching and clawing away.
scratching and clawing away. Tell us what you're expecting this weekend. Who did you just get back? Who did you lose? What should we expect this weekend?
So we just lost Brian Yoon, D-man, who's been a rock for us back there. But we got Adam Shield, goaltender. He's been up with the Eagles since I think it was December 9th. Looking back when I was doing transactions and stuff today.
Did you kind of expect? I mean, you've got AHL guys, but he goes up and is just phenomenal in the AHL. Like he's
Yeah,
proving that he belongs to be at least in the AHL. Did you
yeah.
expect to get him back, or did you think maybe they'd keep him for a longer look?
Kind of like there's been talks going on for seems like a month now about potentially getting him. I don't know how long we're gonna have him. But while he's here, we're gonna hope he brings that hot streak that he had up there down here.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal goaltender. Both your goaltenders this year have been phenomenal, though. Goaltending is not the issue. The issue is basically just uh, roster moves, correct?
Yeah, I mean, when we had that 14 game skid, our goalies they struggled. They'll be the first ones to tell you that everyone was struggling. It was you when you're so depleted like we were, you're going into games just waiting for bad things to happen. And it was dark times. We're duct taping a lineup together every night and calling guys in from who knows where, and we had our top 10 guys out at one time all
10
together.
guys.
Top
And
10.
you carry 23 typically, 22 typically.
Yeah, on your active, you can have 20 on your roster and 2 on your reserve. So we usually carry about 23, 24, and half of those guys were either injured, a lot of them were injured, and then a few called up. So
I was talking to Mason Manick earlier this season, and he's like, hey, the Grizzlies are to a point. Well, I actually kind of knew, and I brought it up to him. And you got to a point where you're like, man, I need a guy like Mason Manick. I need it. It's hard to find when you guys are going through this. You go through and you spin to the cap. You get these guys. You're excited at preseason. You're like, this is the lineup we're looking for. This is gonna work. And then boom, 10 guys are gone. It's hard to find like quality, ready to go guys that are just sitting around not under contract, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's no secret. I was texting Mason trying to get him out here, and even from the start of the year, like our top defenseman and top center, we haven't seen. We've seen one of them for a couple games. That's it. So it's you lose it. You build your team in the summer based on those guys being here, and then boom, you don't see them. So
And then it's just like you said, you're duct taping your. I've never heard that before, but you're just
yeah,
duct taping a roster together, doing the best you can with what you can find out there. It's funny because, and I know I'm not supposed to do it, and I say it all the time. I read the comments. I'll post something about the Utah Grizzlies, and then I read the comments, or I get on the Grizzlies fan page, and I read what they're saying. And even Phil Snyder, who now lives in the Netherlands, texted me the other day, and he's like, "Do these idiots even know what they're talking about when they're talking about the Grizzlies not spinning up to the cap, not doing this? They're trying to lose, trying for draft picks or whatever. They don't understand the true part of what you have to do day in and day out is yeah, you guys did exactly what you're supposed to do in preseason. You built the team you're supposed to build. You're lucky to have you know, you've got a great parent club. You've got a
yeah,
great affiliation, and it usually works pretty well because the Avalanche are committed to you guys.
oh
They
yeah,
They send you coaches. They're following your prospects. They send you goalies. They want to see how the goalies are doing. Now we're seeing Trent Miner, who's got a few games in the NHL this year. So, and that hasn't happened for the Grizzlies for a long time. So, we're thankful for that. Even though there's a Utah Hockey Club here, we're seeing real benefits from the Colorado Avalanche. But what would your message be to these fans that are maybe frustrated at this point and kind of maybe not sure what's going on?
I mean, if they're frustrated now, like we've played some really good hockey since the weekend series before Christmas, and we have a winning record. Um, and we have a good team right now. Like we just didn't have this team for 6 weeks, and it was tough sledding, but it's a good group, and we're fighting and clawing every day. I mean, we just got back off the road. We were 2-1-1. Should have won the last game in Wichita. A lot, we had a penalty shot in overtime, and we had every chance to win that to go 3-1 on the trip. And we're a good hockey team. And our record doesn't show exactly what we have, and we're playing some good hockey. And Christian and I believe this team's gonna fight it out for playoffs, even with that 14-game losing streak. And the other teams are gonna go through what we're going through.
Yeah.
That's just the nature of being the AA affiliate. You know, Injuries happen up top, or even in the AHL. It affects us, and they're not just taking any players; they're taking all of our best players, right?
Right. And that's what they're there for. And I think
Yep.
that's one of the things maybe the fans don't understand is that yeah, all the other teams have the same thing. Idaho's in town tonight. They're affiliated with Dallas. Dallas gets an injury. They're going to pull up their best players too, right?
Yep.
So they just haven't had the same amount of injuries that you've had. And but they're not having their typical season. They sit in 8th place. You guys sit in 13th place in the West. Some big points available this weekend. And am I correct? You play Friday. I saw the jerseys for tomorrow.
Yeah, the fishing ones.
The fishing jerseys are amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Like the specialty jerseys are always cool, but seeing those online yesterday, the whole setup with even the pant shells and everything, that is
Yeah,
freaking amazing.
the guys were all wearing the pant shells out there this morning, and they look they look pretty good.
I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan. My only claim to fame is that I played on Star Wars night there for the Grizzlies. But all the specialty jerseys I've seen, I'm always like Star Wars first, Marvel, I don't really care about. But for some reason, these jerseys you guys are wearing tomorrow night are worth coming out and seeing. And I was told that's not really a sponsorship deal. That was just something somebody was like, "Hey, why don't we do this?" And it looks awesome.
Yeah, and I think there's some cool giveaways. I think that cooler that was like in those photos is like up for grabs, and there's a couple other things. But yeah, we've always done a good job. Kind of, I remember when I played, we did the Harley night with those Harley jerseys. Those were my favorite ones.
Yeah, I've got one of those actually. That's one of the
Yeah,
ones I have framed here. Yeah,
those ones are awesome.
those are very cool.
Yeah,
Ryan, in your career, did you ever go through like a 14 game skid as a player?
I don't think so. Um, just trying to think. I think that the one year I had surgery, our team struggled because I think I went down, and then a few of our guys got called up, and then they went on a bit of a skid, which is just, it's hard. Like when you're playing a roster that's full and you are missing literally your top 10 guys, like you need your goaltending to steal you one.
Yeah,
And
that's a
unfortunately,
that's a big ask.
yeah, and it's a huge ask because you're getting guys. Some guys have day jobs, and you're bringing them in for the weekend, and we've had a lot of that this year. Just could you come help us out?
Yeah,
And we've had some guys step in and play really well, but
but and it's not like you can just take some men's leaguer. I think maybe I'm at fault a little bit being the e-bug and stepping in and doing decent, which you and I both know is pure luck.
yeah,
But we yeah, you could you
yeah,
could
I'll agree with that.
you could play that off a little bit more if you wanted to. But we both know that was luck, but it makes it look like you could just pull any men's leaguer up and be like, "Oh yeah, hey, step in. You play men's Division 1 at Salt Lake County." But it's not like that. You have to get a guy that's played NCAA or played major juniors within like the last year or two so
Yeah,
they haven't lost that step. I think people maybe don't understand the level that you play at, and I hope that that's obvious now. And with Utah Hockey Club coming into town, I hope like they see, all right, this is NHL, there's AHL, and there's ECHL, and the separation is not huge.
It's not. It's really not. Like we got guys that on our roster, NHL speed, NHL shots. It's just putting everything together, right? Those NHLers, they have it all, right? They're 6'2", 6'3". They skate like the wind. They're strong. It's just in the American League, there's guys with inconsistency
Yeah.
issues. With us, we might have some smaller guys. Size kind of hurts them, or they have trouble putting together back-to-back games, and I mean that's all part of growing and being a pro. And I think we've had a lot of guys come in this year that the first one that comes to mind is Reed Webster. Like we got him in a trade from Florida, and he's taken off. Like he's really putting it together, and that's fun to watch on a nightly basis. Him carry the puck and just be confident. Whereas at the start of the year he wasn't. It's part of growing and learning how to be a pro, because it's a 72 game grind. Like we got 14 games in February here. There's only 28
Jeez.
days.
Yeah.
So
Wow,
it's
that's a lot. That's tough, and I hope people are starting to catch on to how hard that is because hockey's so physical, and that's why we're seeing so many injuries up top. Is they're playing it at 80 plus games, they're getting banged up.
Well, I think the Four Nations Cup has kind of hurt everyone from NHL to AHL to ECHL, just because the schedule for the NHL has been so condensed, right? And even the Utah Hockey Club, they've had Gunther out, they've had Marino out, all these big pieces for them.
Yep, yep,
That's the world of hockey. Like we're gonna go through injuries. It's just how we come out the other side, right?
yeah. And the ECHL is there to help these guys. You have drafted guys, you have signed guys that are under NHL or AHL contracts that the guys are like, hey, look, we believe that you could be an NHL player or an AHL player. We just need you to fine tune those little pieces of your game. And that's your job as a coach is to you, a Christian, look at them and say, hey, we can make you better. We're going to put you in these hard situations. And I think having your top 10 guys gone could be the hardest situation for those guys down, especially your goaltenders. And like
Yeah.
you said, we've had success. You've seen Trent Miner get some NHL games. You've got goalies going up now that potentially could see NHL games, and that's huge for the ECHL.
We
Um,
had Nate Clerman, D-man that we had a few years ago. He got a game with Pittsburgh this year.
well, that's right. I saw that I posted about that. That's
Yeah.
amazing, and that's very cool.
So,
And
and I
it's like,
watched that whole game, and he looked like an NHL defenseman. And when he was here, you could tell he skates like an NHL D-man. Like
uh,
he must have taken figure skating, because I am not knocking that, but like
no, I totally get it.
you could tell guys that have figure skated, they're just so smooth. They learn those edges, and we're starting to see a few guys over the past get into the NHL, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, and just on that figure skating thing, I was tight with the Parizis. I used to see Zach Parise. He had a figure skate. He had his regular skills coach, and he had a figure skating coach,
Yeah.
and he shared that with Taves, Sidney Crosby, all those guys, all those Shattuck guys. They were using a figure skater coach, and yeah, just to touch on that a little bit more, you've you've seen this develop. You've seen these players, and when that guy when he made it to the Pittsburgh Penguins, I posted that, and they said, oh, one guy made it. And I said, no, like hundreds, almost 1,000 guys have made it to the East from the East Coast League to the NHL. You
Yeah.
guys, it's a legit league, and I think people need to understand that. Tell me what you expect going into this weekend. What should we expect out of this? This is a rivalry, right? Like
Yeah.
Utah and Idaho, it's always been a battle.
No matter, I mean, we're right behind them in the standings. Like, obviously, these games are massive. Like, we got a chance. It's a 12-point weekend, essentially. For us, it's going to be a fast, physical series. There's no love lost between the two teams. Yeah, I get up for these games. Like, I'm vibrating today because I want to put the gear on, because like I don't like them. You know,
Yeah.
um, Christian gets fired up. Like it's a weekend. if you're not ready to go, then this might not be the sport for you.
Yeah, big things. I think the Maverick Center is going to be loud tonight. I was telling some people were online and they're like, "Hey, I don't know what to do without hockey. The NHL's on stand down for 2 weeks. What do I do?" And they're posting these pictures like they're out in their bare feet or whatever. I don't know, but they're just like, "What do we do?" And I'm like, "You go to the Utah Grizzlies. It's the same price as going to a movie, and
Yeah.
you've got hockey you've got good players that have already played major juniors. They've already played NCAA, and they're trying to make that next step. And if we pack that building, if we get enough fans there to pack that building like that we had at the Guns and Hoses game, like
Oh
how
yeah.
much fun was that? That was loud. It was intense. The Grizzlies came out. They delivered. They were so much fun. Like
Yep.
those games were amazing.
I love them. Like when this place gets over 6,000 in it, like it's electric, and it's got to be one of the hardest. Like the momentum that we create in this rink with our fans is like we had Kansas City in here. We had a stinker of a first period, let up 4 goals, and came out in the second just with their hair on fire, and it was 4-4, just like that. Like, and that was just the crowd was into it, and it was, that this league isn't perfect, right? There's more mistakes made in this league than the AHL, the NHL, but there's still mistakes at those levels, right? And I think it's just those mistakes here seem to turn into grade A chances more often than not. And that's what makes these games so exciting. Like
Yeah, I
as a
agree
coach, maybe
100%.
not as exciting because it gives me a few more gray hairs, but it's a great product, and we got some high end talent on our team right now. So
When you look at this league compared to when you played in this league, like this league's a lot better than it used to be, right? Like the 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 level of player that's playing now across the board, NHL, AHL, the speed's better, the stick handling's better, the shots, the way they manipulate their release points, like
yeah,
it's all more intense. It's so much more fun to watch.
yeah. When I played, I think it was like the start of the NHL kind of getting involved in the league. Like we were unaffiliated for my first, I want to say 2 years, and then we took on the Islanders as an affiliate. So you see a lot of NHL teams find the ECHL very valuable for like we just had Chad Hildebrand down. Hadn't played a lot for the Eagles this year. He came down when he played 6 games for us, uh, maybe 9, but he gets called back up in his first game with the Eagles. He has a goal and an assist.
No.
So it's like, but he was sitting in the stands. Like for him to come down and gain some confidence, win some games, just get that intensity back. Um, it's served him well. So and that's where I think the Avs and the Eagles they see the benefit of it. If they have guys not playing, like get them in here. Let's get them playing because they're going to play 20, 22 minutes a night, and they're going to play in all scenarios, and it's only good for their development, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm learning more and more how important that is in the way the NHL looks at it. I had Bill Armstrong on my show yesterday, and he talked about sending guys to the A or sending guys to the ECHL and what they expect to happen. And he says sometimes we send guys to the AHL and we expect them to kind of fall flat on their face
Yeah,
and get moved to the third, or third line, or maybe get moved down to the East Coast League so that they have to kind of rebuild themselves and regain that confidence, but then they gain it with more of a foundation that it doesn't get rattled as they come back up and they
yeah,
appreciate what it is in the NHL and they appreciate the work ethic they have to put into it. And that's what you've got there. And I know you're busy tonight. I know you're getting ready for game time. You got one of the best buildings in hockey, the Maverick Center.
yeah,
There's not a bad seat in the building. So if you haven't been to a game before, for the price of a movie ticket, you can come watch drafted uh, pro hockey players playing and competing and playing against their rivals, the Idaho Steelheads. Idaho's going to be fighting you tooth and nail just like they always do.
yep.
I think
Yeah, it's
tonight,
gonna be a fun weekend. Like,
yeah,
come on out. I know I'm sitting at home at nights with no NHL on. I'm like, what do I do? Like, it's been boring since the break, but obviously watching those Four Nation games have been they've been pretty intense too. So
Four Nation games are unreal. All right, I'm going to ask you tomorrow night, USA Canada. You've seen the rosters, you've seen them both play. Who do you got tomorrow? And I know you're Canadian. Let's say that
I
first.
know, yeah, I'm obviously going for Canada. I don't know about their goaltending. You know,
Uh,
the USA goaltending is on a different level.
yeah,
You know, Hallebuck, Ottinger, and
Oettinger. Yep.
who's the other one? Like
Uh, man, I don't know.
who? Swayman.
Oh yeah, Swayman. How did I forget that?
Yeah,
Are you
that's
are you surprised that Canada's starting Bennington over? What's the deal with Logan Thompson? Why don't they love Logan Thompson?
there's got to be something between him and Bruce Cassidy.
It sounds like there was. They almost didn't want him on the roster. We should. I probably shouldn't be bringing it up on this episode, but yeah, there was like this old boys club that they had dealt with him in Vegas, and they didn't want him on the roster. But he's clearly one of the best Canadian-born goaltenders right now.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know where like Canada's goaltending has gone. You know, like
It's so
there
crazy.
isn't like no offense to Aiden Hill, he's a good goalie, but that's to me he's the best goalie on that roster. You know, but he's not like a Carey Price or you know you had Patrick Waugh, you had Broder, all these guys in there. Like I don't know if goaltending's gone away, but it's still the most important position. Like you need someone back there to stop pucks.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. You know, the Canadians using Martin Blow, or however you say his name.
Montembeau.
He's been a phenomenal goaltender too. I kind of expected maybe him to get a look too.
I
Um,
thought he would in Montreal.
yeah,
Like
you think?
I thought I was shocked when I saw Bennington, but like what do they do now? Do you like as a coach when you win, you usually keep the same lineup, right?
Yeah,
Like why mess with success? And
they didn't win by as much as they thought they would. I don't think Bennington was to blame for any of that. I'm not a Bennington fan. Um, I would
I
rather
think
see Logan
two of
Thompson.
those goals are pretty weak.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
backdoor one, I don't think you could have done anything. That I don't. These guys in their RVH and they're just so technical now.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. I've been watching a lot of. I watched that Game Seven series on Amazon Prime, and they went over two of this episodes. One was the Oilers and Flyers in 87, and then the Rangers and Canucks in 94. And just watching the 87 goalies versus the 94 goalies, like what a difference.
Oh yeah,
Like, and
yeah.
then now, like they're so technical. I don't know. I think it's too technical because like one thing goes wrong in your day with these guys, it's blown up, you know?
Well, I mean, goalies have always been kind of weird that way anyway, but yeah, you've seen a huge like with Jaguar and those guys bringing in a lot more movement once they're down in the butterfly, and that
Yeah.
a lot of that came from Belfour going back and trying to figure stuff out. I'm not going to bore you with all of that, but I've done the deep dive into that too, and then obviously running goalie camps forever. Jordan Preezy educated me on a lot of that, but now you're seeing RVH came in because of Jonathan Quick.
Well, we our goalie coach with the Avs, Peter Budaj.
Oh yeah,
He's with
yep.
Anaheim now, but like he'd be in here talking about it. He did not like it
No, it
because
worked for Quick.
yeah, but he's old school and like it's so nice for us as a staff to sit like we're hockey nerds, right?
Yeah.
It's just you gotta be and to sit there and listen to his explanation on what he thinks on the goaltending and it's just you could sit there all day and listen to it, right?
Oh yeah, especially me. Like I love to hear it.
Yeah.
Um, and now instead of RVH, you're going to be hearing a lot of overlap talk. I don't know if you've heard overlap yet,
I
but
haven't heard overlap yet.
that's what they're looking for now is overlap. It's actually kind of goes against everything you're taught as a goaltender on keeping that post, keeping that inside skate tight to that post.
Yeah.
Now you overlap it to the outside. You don't go RVH. You come and step out a little bit more. You'll
I
see
think
it.
you
It's
lose your
coming.
angle though.
It does screw with your angle, but it's your percentages go up because the whole time, right? You're just playing percentages. That's where RVH and VH came from in the first place.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're boring a lot of people right now, but anyway, that's
Oh,
what you're going to start
sure
seeing.
we are anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to start seeing overlap. Ryan, I can't. I can't thank you enough for taking the time and talking to us about this. We're going to get this episode up immediately so that we can
Perfect.
hear, we get people out there to the game tonight. I would love to pack the Maverick Center for the next 2
Yeah, we got
days.
a couple hours. We get this thing out there and
Yeah,
right.
let's pack it. Let's bring the same energy that you fans bring to the Utah Hockey Club. Pay 1/10 the price. Come out tonight, watch the Utah Grizzlies. Let's support all of our local hockey, and let's pack the Maverick Center tonight, and let's bring home a win, a
Yep.
fan-influenced win.
Love it.
Love
Sounds
it.
like a plan.
All right, Ryan, thanks for everything. Tell Christian thanks for everything. Good luck tonight, boys, and that is
Yeah,
the
thanks.
Utah Puck Report.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Good talking to you.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Utah Puck Report. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Rate us, leave us feedback, let us know what you want us to do better. Big thanks to our sponsors, Only Crowns. Love having a dentist sponsor for the hockey podcast. Check them out at onlycrowns.com. Thanks to KSL Sports, the Utah Hockey Club, Madison Miller, and Tegan Stevens for producing. And thanks to the American Hitmen for that awesome intro song. We'll see you next week.